Hey everybody, Mr. Dale here. Thanks for tuning in. This video is going to give you a brief introduction to tuning. Tuning is something that we don't talk about very much in our elementary lessons, and I know a lot of you are really curious about it. So this will give you a place to start if you want to experiment with it a little bit. Okay, tuning is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to develop, but thankfully technology helps us out. This little gadget here is called a tuner, and they come in different shapes and sizes. Some are much fancier than this. This one here, it's pretty basic. It costs about 15 bucks, but it's super helpful. And if you guys really want to be great tuners of your instruments, I would grab one of these from a music store. Any music store will have one of these. What it does is, you can probably see, once you play, it has a little microphone on it, and once you play a note into the tuner, it will show you either flat, this little light will light up if your note is flat, and then this little light will light up if you're sharp, or if you're perfect, this one will light up green in the middle. Now, the next question is, if I'm sharp or if I'm flat, how do I fix it, right? Well, most of you know that we tune our instruments using our pegs or our fine tuners. So let's start with the fine tuners. So if the note that you play is sharp, you want to make it more flat, and you do that by turning the tuner counterclockwise. Here, let me try and demonstrate this. I'm turning it to the left as the instrument is facing me, and you can hear it getting more flat. Now this is way flat, so I'm going to go back the other way. To make it more sharp, you turn it to the right. And you can experiment with this, and you'll hear the difference yourself. Now if you're going to use your pegs to tune the instrument, and you would use the pegs when the strings are really out of tune, you have to be super careful. You've probably heard me tell stories of people that think they can tune their instrument and they end up snapping their string. To make your note more sharp, you're going to turn the peg away from you. To make the note more flat, you're going to turn it towards you. But whether you're turning it away from you or towards you, you always have to keep pressure pushing the peg in. The pegs aren't held in by anything except tension, and so you have to always apply pressure pushing in, pushing the pegs in. So let me demonstrate this. I'm going to make it more flat, so I'm going to turn it towards me. And let me go back sharp again. If I loosen it too much, the string will come out of the peg box. And if I tighten it too much, of course the string will pop. So you have to be really careful when you're doing the pegs. When you're first starting off tuning, I would stick to the fine tuners. And if your strings are really out of tune, I would leave that up to your teacher to fix for now. Okay, so we've got the camera kind of set up differently so that you can see the tuner in action. Let me do each of the strings, and you can see it register flat, sharp, and then we'll fix it to make it perfect. Here's the E string. Now, as you can see, the tuner has lit up the dot next to sharp, and so we have to make it a little more flat, so I'm going to turn it counterclockwise. Let's try that. So I went too far, now it's flat. A little bit more, turning it clockwise to make it higher. Tiny bit more. There we go. That's pretty much right on. Now let's try the A string. A string is way too flat. A little bit too far there. Let's try that. Perfect, right in the middle. You can see it lights up green. D string, it's sharp, so I'm going counterclockwise. Too far, right? I'm going to make it a little higher. Perfect, and one more string, the G string. Okay, it's registering flat. We're going to turn it clockwise. Too far. Too far. There it is, right there. So now all our strings are in tune. So thanks again for tuning in. This was just a brief introduction to tuning. Remember, it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to perfect. Also, remember, if you're going to practice tuning with your pegs, be really careful. If you go too far, you'll break the string. If you go too loose, it'll come off completely. Always ask your teacher if you really have a problem with your instrument. Otherwise, have fun experimenting with tuning, and this is something that you'll talk a lot more about in middle school and in high school.